Call our meeting to order, councillors, and as always, we'll have a moment of silence to pray or as you wish, so that we may better be able to do the business of the county this evening. Thank you. And at this time, I would like to acknowledge that we're on the ancestral lands of the Mi'kmaq people. And I'd like to thank all the Mi'kmaq people of today for their ancestors sharing their land, these lands in Pictou County, these beautiful lands in Pictou County, with our ancestors, whether they came 400 years ago or 4 years ago. We are all treaty people. So at this point, we'll have a motion to approve the agenda with, okay, it's moved and seconded. It's written on there, I guess, the presentation at 7:30. Presentation at 7:30 is postponed until March the 20th, Committee of the Whole meeting. There were some timing difficulties, I guess, with that one. So if there's no other comments or changes to the agenda, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Are there any emergency resolutions tonight? And emergency resolutions now only require a majority vote, not unanimous. Seeing none, we'll move right along. So in our last regular meeting on February the 7th, are there any errors, omissions, or corrections to do with the minutes of the February 7th meeting? Any errors, omissions, corrections for the February 7th meeting? One last time, any errors, omissions, corrections for February 7th? Okay, seeing none, we'll declare those minutes correct record of our meeting on February 7th. And we have two pieces of correspondence not requiring action. One is the NSFM endorsing the creation of a vulnerable persons registry. And the second one is the Nova Scotia government's introduction of the future of our coastline, Nova Scotia's plan to project. So two important pieces of correspondence there, but they don't require any action. So Councillor Dewar.
The second one, I think maybe it does need some action because, or we could send back a letter to them saying, thank you, but no thanks, or something, because it's not gonna work out very good for us down the road, that plan.
No, I would certainly agree with you on that. There is a meeting scheduled for, what's this, Monday? Yeah, Wednesday evening. I think NSFM is the one holding it, but it's, I think it's for wardens and mayors. And it's with some of the ministers, I believe Minister Lohr and maybe Minister Holman, the Environment Minister. Is that correct? Do you remember? I think those are the two ministers that are going to be online or whatever on Teams for that call. But it's basically, I guess, handing it down to us, saying we're not going to do it, so you fellows are going to have to do it. We've talked about it, the Climate Change Advisory Committee, several times about maybe doing that. But it came up here at our minimal planning meeting, and we sort of said, well, no, let's hope the province is going to do it. Well, now it's pretty obvious the province is not going to do it. They've said that out loud now, but I think they're going to probably at this meeting tell us how much they're going to help us do it. In other words, we can take the heat instead of them. But that's just my opinion. But you know, that's where it is right now. Does anybody else have any? Councillor Watt, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was very disappointed when we heard that from the province because, as of the understanding, all parties had agreed to move forward with that coastline planning, and now it's been brought back to the municipalities. Excuse me. One thing I do think is really important that if it is the municipalities that have to go ahead and do something, because obviously we have to do something. We can't leave it. I would hope to see all counties who border Northumberland Strait work together, because I think it's really important that we're all on the same page of what we're trying to do along the coastline. I hate to see us doing one thing, Colchester doing something else, Cumberland, it can be a real mess, and that's why I think it's so important that the province do this and do it uniformly, based on the area, so.
I fully agree with you on that, and I don't, I never should say never, but I mean, it's gonna be difficult to change their minds, I think, but, we will attempt that, I think, tomorrow evening, or on Wednesday evening, sorry. But on the fact of being with the other municipalities on the Northumberland Strait, I did send out, a letter, under our letterhead to all the municipalities from Cumberland, right through to Cape Breton that are on the Northumberland Strait, on this shore. That did come up as a suggestion at our Climate Change Advisory Committee. So I followed through on that, and that went through sometime last week before we knew about this. Now this has changed the water on the bean, so I said, well, let's wait till after Wednesday night and see what suggestions come out of that.
Sure, if we could just be kept informed of how the other counties see that plan going forward, I would
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Go ahead, Councillor Elliott.
Thanks. I'm with Debbie. I'm disappointed as well, and the government has abandoned the Coastal Protection Act, and they're just going to make it more of coastal education, is what they were explaining in it, after 2 years of hard work. Council, with the public discussions, we've worked hard, and we've made advancements with information that we collected in the facts, and we listened to their concerns. And I think continuing with part of this and place in policy will only help us, because in the future it's going to come back, I'm sure of it. And we as a municipality should be ready and willing to listen to our residents. And the public was just starting to understand and trust that all the decisions that we were making were being made in their best interest and based on their wants and needs, not what we decide. We wanted their input, and I think that we've come a long way and too far to put it to rest now. I think if a motion could be made for us to continue, I think it would be great.
You're asking for a motion to be made here for us to continue what?
Carrying on with what we're doing, we have so many consults left that the public didn't get to hear. We're right in the middle of it. Only half of our councillors got to take part, and there's still the other half that haven't gotten to listen to presentations and the talks and the information. We only have half of the information we needed to continue on, and I think it's only fair to the public that we keep engaging with them and talking to them of what they want with this policy, with the Protection Act. I don't think it's fair just to let it go to rest and let anybody make the decisions. I think the residents should have the say.
I don't think this council's gonna let it go to rest, but I'm not sure what motion you want to make.
Do we have a decision on, just on council's behalf, do we have the right to continue, keep going? Even though the government has decided they abandoned the Coastal Protection Act and they're going to use it as an education now, do we have the right to keep going with what we started for the Coastal Protection Act?
I'm not sure, can you answer that, or go ahead, I'll take Darla first.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I think that we're still continuing our land use planning, right? This is, I think, part of it, but I think the Coastal Protection Act was part of our land use planning. We're not abandoning land use planning. We still have to do that. But I think what we were doing at the time of our planning was incorporating or hoping that the government was going to take kind of care of that piece, but I think that piece is falling back on us. I don't think we're getting rid of it. I think it's just that more of the responsibility of that segment of the land use planning that we've been working on and continue to work on will now become more of our responsibility.
Including the Coastal Protection Act discussion.
Yes.
We're not
Yeah.
just going to stop talking about it because the government's not going to mandate it for us.
In fact, it's more the other way, it's more on us now to deal with it because they didn't.
Okay.
And I'm interested to see what the opinion of the other municipalities are on Wednesday night, to see if there's a common approach there, that we can follow, especially for those of us along the Northumberland shore that have the commonality of the type of storms. It is different on the south shore or down at the other end or in Cape Breton, but everywhere along Northumberland shore, it's pretty well the same. Did you finish your comments, Charlie? I did, thank you. Good. Sorry, Peter, I think I missed you.
There's nothing new. No, I was just wondering, when did we receive this letter?
When it came out late last week, I think about last Thursday.
Because I was at a meeting yesterday, and John Lohr was there, and the way he was talking, it was like they were going to do something, so maybe I picked it up wrong. I was just thinking that maybe we should hold off on doing any motions towards doing anything until you have that meeting with them and find out, did they change their mind or something?
I agree with you, we need to wait until we hear from the two ministers, but I suspect it's more about, here's the way you guys can handle it. That's what I think is coming, that we're gonna help you.
He never said nothing about municipalities on that part of it, but now, as I say, I might have picked it up wrong, but it sounded like they were going to do something, but maybe not.
Councillor Thompson.
So this was tabled in the House last Monday at around noon. The NSFM board, which I'm on now, we had a Zoom call with the Department of Environment and Municipal Affairs at about, I think it was 9 o'clock in the morning. So we had to run through what it's going to be, and I don't want to. In a nutshell, they're putting it back on us. Whether we do something with this, there's a whole tool chest there that we can use to inform residents and building near coastal areas and all that good stuff. So, and they have some, I'll call it concierge services set up with the Clean Foundation or Clean Nova Scotia, one of them groups that they're going to be able to help guide whether it's a landowner or a municipality through that work. So they're not just saying, they're not washing their hands of it. There's a whole approach to it, but they're not going to do a blanket Coastal Protection Act for the whole province. That's the long and short. And the other thing I want to mention is the Vulnerable Persons Registry that I'm on the Public Safety Committee, and it's nice to see that that's now a priority of the NSFM. There's two motions that were in the package that talked about the need to work towards a vulnerable persons registry, whether it's province-wide or if it's county by county. So that discussion's going to happen. The province needs to come to the table for that, and that's one of the things we're working towards. And the second resolution that was passed at NSFM was regarding a day-long session for the vulnerable persons registry. And I think there's a lot more interest, and there's a lot, even in the last couple of weeks, there's a number of other municipalities that have sent letters of support for calling on a registry of some description. So I'll let you know what's going on. In that meeting on Wednesdays, it's going to be interesting to hear the comments that come out of that.
Thank you. Are there further comments on those two pieces of correspondence? Go ahead, Councillor Wood.
Just on the Vulnerable Persons Registry, yes, it's a committee in my area set up, and they are really anxious to see something move forward with the volunteer registration. Anyways, they're willing to wait to see what happens with the NSFM through us to see if something will come about with that. But there are committees set up in different areas that are really anxious to see something come up before the next storm.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next storm might be right around the corner. I just wanted, did you have another name or? No. I just wanted to mention that on the Coastal Protection Act, and the province is saying, we're going to give people the information and let them decide, or we'll give the municipalities information. It's about letting people decide for themselves what to do or not to do on the coastline. But that would be like our building inspectors, just going out and telling people, here's how you should build your house. We're not going to be back to see you. You don't need to put this foundation of that size or this footing or these. we'll give you the information of what's good, and you decide. And we know that that doesn't always work. It'd be nice to think that in a perfect world that would be all you need. So to say to people, here's the dangers, now just don't, you make up your own mind, that doesn't always work. Go ahead, Councilor Dewar.
Thank you. This isn't to do with those two particular ones, but it was correspondence that several weeks ago I asked to have a letter go to the CRTC and a bunch of groups about the batteries. And did we ever hear back from anybody about that for the telephones, when the home phone, when the power goes out, we have no phones and no cell coverage or anything? Do you remember that?
Seen anything coming back?
No, nothing came back. Well, in the last week, or a week ago, it was on that the minister in Cabritton was talking, and I don't know, it was Alan McMaster or somebody was having something up there, and they were sending letters to the CRTC, just like we asked about that night, and he was trying to get some help for all the coverage. They're in the same problem that we're in parts of Pictou County, especially my area, Andy's area, and Don and David's. They have absolutely no coverage when the power goes off. And one time, they say that it's progress. Well, it's not progress if we're going back that our seniors and et cetera. It doesn't have to be a senior to get sick or an accident happen and they have no telephone in a storm to get the help to come. So I'm just surprised we didn't hear anything back, because it is making some news in some other parts of the province as well. Thank you.
Okay, and when we have our special session here, which is hopefully soon, on being ready, as Councillor Wadden said, for the next emergency, certainly the voluntary vulnerable persons will be an item for discussion, but so will be the communication in a lot of our county, a lot of our rural county. When we get in these types of bad situations, which we've been in 2 or 3 times lately, communication is so super important. If you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere, I hate to refer to anybody's community as that, but there is one in my community called the Road to Nowhere. So, but when you're stuck there and you don't have any communication with your family or with emergencies or anything, you're in a really bad state. And we were in this past snowstorm. We were in Fiona and a few other storms. So communication is ultimately important. And that batteries, all of a sudden you get no phone a half hour after the power goes out. It shouldn't be that way. It wasn't that way for a long, long time. Okay, if there's no further comments on the correspondence, we'll move along. Now we have reports not requiring action. So in your package was a report on the New Scotland Business Park. So just updating you on what's happening or not happening on various files. Is there any questions on that report? Don't see any. So we'll move right along. We'll skip the presentation, like I said before. So we're on to business items or items requiring action. Councillor Dave Parker, you have the first one on the municipal service grants.
It's only about 4 lines, so I'll read it all.
You go ahead.
Resolution. Be it resolved by the Municipal Council for the Municipality of the County of Pictou approve the following municipal service grant. District 7, Union Center Community Hall, $2,558 for insulation upgrades, dated the 4th day of March, 2024 in Pictou, NS. Signed by myself, Councillor David Parker, seconded by Councillor Mary Elliott.
So seconded.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded then, the one municipal service grant that we have for the Union Center Community Hall. Are there any questions on that resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Councillor Butler, you're up next with the Community Generator Fund approvals.
Mr. Warden, be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the Municipality of the County of Pictou approve the following Community Generator Fund grants. Bernice River Fire Department, $3,453, our contribution to the generator. And the Union Center Community Hall, $2,953, again for the contribution to the generator, totaling $64,006. Dated on this 4th day of March, 2024 in Pictou. I so move, and it's been seconded by Councillor Peter Boyles.
Correct that for 6,400.
Pardon me?
6,400. not
64, oh, you
64,000.
said 64,000, well, you're trying to give them a little, trying to squeeze a little extra out there. Okay, $6,406 is the total for the two contributions to the generators at Barneys River and Union Center Community Hall. So it's been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments on that resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Councillor Palmer, you're up next with the recreation grants.
Thank you, Warden. Resolution, be resolved by Municipal Council for the Municipality of the County of Pictou, approve the following recreation grants. Sponsorship grant, Pictou County Trails Association, $1,000 for workshop. 2023-24 Fundy Highland Stars AAA U13 female hockey team, $250 for provincials. Pictou County Seniors Festival, $500 for program expenses. Capital grant, IOF Hall War Lodge number 17, $1,000 to replace the chairlift. It's for a total of $2,750, dated the 4th day of March, 2024 in Pictou, Nova Scotia, signed by myself, Councillor Randy Palmer, and seconded by Councillor Dave Parker.
So seconded.
Okay, you've heard the reading of the resolution for the recreation grants totaling $2,750. Moved and seconded. Are there any comments on that one? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Now we have a tender for a vehicle, not an internet vehicle, but a vehicle for our internet project. So we have Councillor Palmer, you again.
Thank you, Warden, again. Whereas tenders have been called for the purchase of a new cargo utility van for the Municipality of the County of Pictou's Department of Innovation and Technology, Rural Broadband Department, whereas a total of 3 tenders were received as follows. Holland Ford Transit 350 cargo, $63,900 electric model. Holland Ford F-150 4x4 regular cab, $51,900 for gas model. Heron GMC Sierra 4x4 double cab, $62,648 gas model. Be resolved by the Municipal Council for the Municipality of the County of Pictou, approve the purchase of the F-150 4x4 regular cab from Holland Ford for a total of $51,900 plus HST, dated the 4th day of March 2024 in Pictou, Nova Scotia, signed by myself, Councillor Randy Palmer, and seconded by Deputy Warden Wayne Murray.
So second?
Okay, moved and seconded to accept the tender from Highland Ford for the F-150 4x4 regular cab. Are there any questions on that resolution? Councillor Wadden, go ahead.
It's not a question, Mr. Chair. It's mostly a comment. I know we had a good discussion with Rihanna at our meeting where we initially approved this resolution. I'm still very disappointed that we're not going with something more climate friendly, and I realize part of the problem is charging stations. Are we looking at putting in any charging stations in the county? Is that a project that the Climate Committee have been looking at or considering? Because we're going to continue in this road if we don't get charging stations in.
You want to take that one, Brian? I know we did look at that early on, the first meetings of the Climate Change Advisory Committee. That was one of the, it was kind of stalled for a reason, but I forget what the reason was. You remember?
I'm not sure I remember. The last round of, I think when the grants came out, I think in the end, we didn't go for the grant at that time because it would be competing against other organizations that were in the area, and we weren't ready. So that's why we didn't apply for the grant when they were out the last time. Certainly this time, supply is one of the big issues with these vehicles. And we would have, I think if the supply was there, we would have looked at putting a charging station in, because long-term, that's where we're going to have to eventually head. So it still is something that we're contemplating. It's just the supply of vehicles isn't there right now for it. So, although they did have the one.
But I do agree with Councillor Wadden that it's a chicken and egg thing. If we don't get them in,
Yeah,
then we're never
exactly.
gonna buy the first electric vehicle. So, I'll bring it up, and Councillor Boyles is here tonight too, at the next Climate Advisory Committee, and see if we can't, see when the grants are available again, and see if we can't get moving on that, because if we don't, like I say, we'll never buy the first vehicle. Okay, thank you for that input. So are there any more questions or comments on the motion to purchase the vehicle? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried, 1 nay vote. Oh, I heard, wasn't the electric part, it was the Ford part. I thought you were against against the vehicle. Yeah. Okay, next is the property tax write-off, and Councillor Thompson's handling that one.
Resolution be it resolved, the Municipal Council for the Municipality of the County of Pictou approve the following write-off on taxes, the same having been reviewed and approved by the Financial Services Committee. Account number 00618663, account name is Jennifer Suzanne Sutherland. The amount is $2,398.76, and the reason is the appeal of the assessment dated the 4th day of March 2024 in Pictou, Nova Scotia, moved by myself, Councillor Andy Thompson, and seconded by Councillor Chester Dewar.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I do want to make the comment, as I made at the committee meeting, that we're not just giving somebody a break here, on their taxes. This lady did not own the property at the time that these taxes were, so the mistake was made by the assessment people that do the assessment, PVSC, and I think it was actually noticed by our staff, and when they changed it, suddenly she became liable for the debt, and she didn't even own the place at the time that it was being taxed for. So this was a billing that she should never have got. So I think it's just important to point out that we're simply not wiping out somebody's taxes as a favor here. She never really owed the bill. So are there any questions on that resolution? Councillor Dave Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I will not be voting in the positive, and I'll tell you why. 15 years ago, when I represented the community of Sylvester, we had a very similar circumstance. A person bought the property, and after they purchased it, they found out from the assessment office that it had not been properly assessed, and now they owed, and it was somewhere in this range. They did not get any relief. That's why I can't support it. We need to have clear rules, not just, I like you, but I don't like you. Okay, there needs to be clear rules, and there's no clear rule here. It's just they have to ask the right people at the right time. In that particular case, I talked to the realtor. I said, surely, it was about close to, even this was 15 years ago, 200,000 plus home, nice home, and the taxes were like $28, okay, instead of $2,800. And I talked to the realtor and I said, well, you surely must have realized, oh yeah, but that's not my job to catch that. That's the lawyer's job. I just said, thank you very much, and made a mental note, never do business with that particular individual. But anyway, that's my concern. This is not one of, and there's no rules. Thank you.
I appreciate your concern, but two wrongs do not make a right. Is there any other comments on this resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
1 nay vote. We'll move on to the citizen appointments. Deputy Warden Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Resolution be it resolved, Municipal Council of the Municipality of the County of Pictou approve the following citizen appointments from April 1st, 24 to March 31st, 26. Audit Committee, Rick Freeman and Susan Robertson. Police Advisory, Kevin McDonald. River and Guest Home Association, Bonnie Allen. Climate Change Advisory, Viola McCullough. Ed Kennedy, Reg Brightman, Perry Burdell, Troy Kyle. Fences Arbitration, Joyce Royd. Accessibility Advisory Committee is Sue-Ann Madison, Rick Parker, Grace Maxner, and Ray Gunn. Dated the 4th day of March 2024 in Pictou, Nova Scotia. I so move this resolution and second it by Councillor Palmer.
So second it?
Okay, you heard the reading of the resolution on the citizens' appointment, and we thank each and every one of them for being willing to put their names forward to help us with the business of the county. Are there any questions on those appointments? Okay, seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Now, before we come to the next one, the Glasgow Farmers Market, I have some things to say on that one, so I'm going to ask the Deputy Warden to take the chair at this point, and he has agreed to do that.
Thank you. So the next one is in the Glasgow Farmers Market, request for letter of support. You all have the letter that we sent in the business plans, so we'll open it up the floor for discussion. Any discussion? Anybody want to start? Okay, go ahead, Darla.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I'm confused why this is part of our package tonight. Shouldn't this be part of, should they not make application to our council grants the end of February, and we discuss this as part of that as?
They don't want money.
They're not asking for money, just support for the
Just
project
support.
at this moment.
Okay, at this moment, we're just support, so we're not asking for money at this, not yet? Not yet. Okay, I just wanted to make that
There's no dollar amounts on this request.
yet, okay.
It's a support that we support the $7 million for a project that they want to do there.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead then, Mr. Warden.
Well, it bothers me to say what I'm going to say, but I've always spoke my truth, I guess, and I will again tonight. I'm a big supporter of farmers. I've been involved with the farming community for well over 50 years. I'm a big supporter of farmers markets. I took part in the original meetings when the farmers markets were set up, the very first ones, and saw it grow from very small operation to what it is today, and it's a great benefit to many, many people. Great benefit to farmers in particular. It gives them a place to sell their product. It's a great benefit to small business. You can sort of trial your market there and see if the product you have has any demand, amongst the public. It's a social gathering for a lot of people. I'm not so sure about food security because prices at a farmer's market are not necessarily low. They're not meant to be. It's not a flea market. They're meant for people to make a living selling those products. But I cannot accept $7.1 million for a new farmer's market. To me, it's way out of line, the price, and what they're trying to build is not just a farmer's market, but it's a whole lot more. A farmer's market generally doesn't require the fanciness or whatever you want to call it of a supermarket, a Sobeys or Superstore or whatever. Many of them are held in old rail sheds or whatever, but they started with a dome, basically a greenhouse, and of course it's very hard to heat in the wintertime. You can't heat them in the wintertime, and have open doors too. But then they built a nice building there, a winter hardy building, and it's much more comfortable for the customers and the sellers. And to my mind, why they couldn't build another one of those, or two of them. You could build a half a dozen of them probably for $7.1 million. To me, they probably will come back here looking for money in the future. Right now, they're relying mostly on federal and provincial grants, but that is still all taxpayers' money, and if it's used, if we take too much of it for a project that perhaps doesn't need that degree of fanciness or that degree of infrastructure, then it takes away from something else, whether it's helping with housing or helping with food insecurity or whatever. I don't believe we should just say, well, if they'll give us the money, we'll take it. We'll get as much as we can. And I'm afraid that we did give here as a council. We were the only municipality that has given so far. I think it was listed in there at 45,000 maybe. That was all used to do the drawings for the building. So that's where our money went from here, was to do the drawings. I don't think when we gave the money, we thought that's where it was going, but I could be wrong. But I just have difficulty voting for the letter of support. I'm afraid if we vote for the letter of support, that it means that we're in favor of the 7.1 million. So when they come back here, or if they do, looking for money, well, you fellows signed the letter of support, so we're expecting your support. I know that's not what's meant by this letter right now, but if everybody else is in favor of it, that's fine. I just need to speak what I felt about it and I did speak up to the same thing at the mayors and wardens meeting when they presented what's in the package today to us. And I was told that, well, maybe they could trim a little here, trim a little there. It doesn't need a little trimming. It needs probably a half trimming in my mind. With $3 million, you could build a lot and still have all the good things of a farmer's market, but get the cost reasonable. That's just my opinion, so that's why I asked to step out of the chair. I didn't want to influence other people's opinion. Just wanted to tell you where I was at, and I wouldn't be able to support the letters, wouldn't be able to vote for the letter of support for that reason.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Any further comments? Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I first read this, I thought, well, I know $7 million is a lot of money, but it's kind of like a step into the future for the farmers market. And with the right plan in place, I think it's something that could take us into the future. Is there any way we could request the presentation be done to us as a council to get a handle on what it is exactly they're looking for in our endorsement? Because I'd be a lot more comfortable knowing if this endorsement is just endorsing the work they're doing, or if we have to cost share with the project. But overall, I think the project itself is a huge plus for Pictou County if it's done right and done within our means. But so I really hate to throw it out without really knowing more information on it. I guess what I'm saying.
Do you want to move that as a motion that we take that step?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Okay, just second it. Ready to move and second it. Any questions on it? Larry, did you have something else? Or, sorry, just a second. David had something first. Okay, we'll get you after that. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I just think that there has to be a cost-benefit analysis done on this. I mean, you know, if regardless of what the cost is, we should know as a council what the benefit is going to be. And I think we need them, whoever put this together, to come and explain to us so we can analyze this properly. If it's $7.3 million and there's huge benefits created from it, both, you know, for the county and for the towns, then tell us what those benefits are going to be, rather than just throwing the money out at it. And so that's why I'd like them to come and make a presentation so we can do a cost-benefit analysis on this, what the benefits are going to be from the costs that this is going to entail. Thank you.
Any further questions on the motion? No further. Everyone in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion's carried. Okay, Dave?
Well, I'm very much inclined to agree with my brother on this one. I looked it through and man, that is a real nice building, a lot of special features in it, and a big number. I guess my concern is similar. How much of this are the county taxpayers going to be asked to bear? We're hoping the feds and the province will significantly support it. There's no doubt that the Glasgow farmers market has become a center of activity on Saturday mornings. And with this new building, there's no doubt in my mind that it'll become a center of activity for other events. And that's a plus, okay? But I'm concerned about the price. I compare it to putting in the thin edge of the wedge. If you've ever toppled a large tree with wedges, and they can topple the mightiest trees, once you start that wedge in, you can't pull it back out. unless you're the strongest man alive. And that's what I see this as. This is the thin edge of the wedge. And you can be certain, it's not an if, you can be certain they'll be back with a dollar request. And I'm concerned about the magnitude of that request. But I will be supporting the motion to go forward.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, you can keep all your notes and your questions for when they come. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Robert.
The next item on our agenda then is under consideration of deferred business. And we had a presentation here at our February 7th meeting from the Coalition for Healthy School Fund, presented by Lindsay Corbin at the February 7th council meeting. And the water's changed.
We voted on a motion to invite them to come and present to us, but we did not vote on the request for a letter of support.
Because it was deferred, there was no motion. It was deferred until,
Proceeded it.
All right then.
yeah. No, we didn't have a motion on that. So on this, I was going to say that there's been some changes on this one too, since that presentation by Lindsay Corbin, because one of the big things was the province not being willing to step in and help with the funding. And I believe in the budget that was released on Friday, was it Thursday or Friday? There is announcement there that there will be funding for the school lunch programs. I'm not sure how much or any details of that, but there was certainly an announcement that there would be. They had said before they wouldn't until the feds did it, but it is in the budget, and I don't know the details of it. But so we didn't have a motion on this one then, did we? So this is just on here because it's deferred business. If somebody wants to make a motion on that, we can do that. Go ahead, Councillor Watton.
Yes, I think Lindsay explained you were still looking for our endorsement on the coalition. And I was just looking up some information on it, and they have the guiding principles of health promoting, ensuring that all children are treated universally the same. They want a cost share between the federal and the provincial government because it's going to take all levels of government to make this work, and they want it across the country. And then flexibility on the area that they're in, if it's a First Nations, make sure that they have the food choices that would be appealing to the group that live in that area, and other different drivers for that coalition. The province has agreed to move forward. I think it's like a 4 or 5 year plan, so it's not going to be rolled out quickly. It's going to be slow to roll out. And the Liberals, or the party in power now, the federal Liberals, this was on their mandate for their platform during the last election, but it's kind of taken a back seat. And I think what the coalition is hoping to do is kind of push this forward, show them how important it is across the country, because it's an issue that is really important, that Canada is ranked 37th out of 41 countries when it comes to providing healthy food for children. And that's not a record we should be very proud of, especially in this country. About 1/3 of the children between the ages of 4 and 13 eat less than 5 or servings of vegetables and fruit daily, which, if you look at Canada's food guide, we support getting them to eat vegetables and fruit, but we don't encourage them to eat vegetables and fruit. About 1/4 of the children's calorie intake is from fast foods, and again, that's not a healthy way to look at what's these children growing up as adults. And then 1/3 of students in elementary schools and 2/3 of students in secondary schools do not eat a nutritious breakfast. And they do have breakfast programs. We contribute to it here, but it's sporadic. It's not uniform. It's not right across the country. There's some schools that have it, some schools that don't. We're lucky here in Pictou County that we do encourage the breakfast program, but it's something that all Canadian children should be entitled to. So that's what the coalition is looking for. It's just for the county to endorse the program. And if you go on their website, they outline it very easily. Like to become an endorser, you just click on the endorsement and then fill out your information. And it explains their guiding principles, the permission to include our organization's name and logo on the coalition's website, and then just some basic information about our municipality. So I would like to make a motion that our county council becomes an endorser of the Coalition for Healthy School Food.
I'll second it.
Okay, and Mary?
So I've been thinking about this ever since the presentation was done for the request for council to become an endorser of Canada-wide school food program. I question, with each school being unique and their needs being different and their requirements and how they function, everything is different for each school. And we already have very large problems that already exist right here. We have shortage of staff in our cafeterias. Our pricing is high. We're taking away food choices and only serving healthy ones, and sometimes it can have a negative impact because moderation is better than taking something away, because then it causes people to crave what they can't have. So causing closure because of the staff shortages and having cafeterias closed that's one of the problems. Children are not eating healthy. Eating in classrooms instead of cafeteria has a negative effect on the children as well, and overcrowded cafeterias, and it causes the students to rush so that they don't take the time to eat and they're interested in getting outdoors. There's all kinds of factors that include that. But what is meant by the Coalition for Healthy Food Advocates for a universal, cost-shared, healthy, Canada-wide school food program? There's certainly improvements that can be made, but in the end, who would be left to support this Canada-wide program financially? Once up and running, will the financial obligations be handed over, and those endorsing this program be held responsible? I have a worry over that. And what are the obligations of the endorser who supports the coalition? Do those involved, such as the students, the parents, and the teachers, have a say about this program and their concerns? And I really think their ideas matter, because they're the people who are doing this on a daily basis. So I guess the question that I left for myself, and I keep asking it over and over and over again, is fixing something 100% a positive if only 50% or less is having trouble. So I'm referring to a school or an individual's needs. Does every school and every individual within that school need help to eat healthy? I question that, and I'm highly concerned of, in the end, if we endorse it, who's going to be responsible financially down the road? Thanks.
Thank you, Mary. Have we got any other questions? Councillor Dave Parker.
Yeah, I guess I have a different view. I agree with some of her points. How's this going to roll out? How are we going to make it uniform? How are we going to... Not every child needs or wants a meal provided at school. But the school that I sit on, the School Advisory Council, Northumberland Regional in Elma, they started in late September with a program run by students with oversight by their culinary arts teacher. And they're serving approximately 200 meals per day on a first-come, first-served basis, trying to emphasize local and healthy food as much as they can. The other day, they reached the 10,000 meal mark, so that's quite an achievement. We're in the early stages here. It's going to take a while, assuming there is support from the provincial and federal levels. And we're talking about money. As we're talking about the kind of support. I think schools, I think Northumberland, anything, has shown this can be done. Give us the money to buy the food, and we can deliver the meals. Especially those schools that either currently have a cafeteria and cafeteria staff, or in the case of Northumberland, they're delivering it in cooperation with the cafeteria staff through student efforts. So yes, there's a lot yet to be resolved, to be worked out. And yes, ideally, we'd like it to be as uniform and as fair as it can be. It doesn't mean that every child is going to want to eat that particular meal that particular day. But what it should mean is that those who are most underprivileged will at least have an even chance to learn because they're not hungry. And if we want to invest in our future, we want our kids, whether they're from the lowest socioeconomic class or the highest, we want them to do as well as possible in school. Now, there's all kinds of other issues in our schools. I'm not going there because I don't want to be here until April. But there's societal issues as well. Okay, it's certainly changed in the 12 years that I've no longer been in schools, and it hasn't changed for the better, in my opinion. But here is a chance. I say they're providing to a student body of about 1,000 people. They're providing 200 meals a day, so roughly 20%, 1 out of 5. There will be some experimentation. There will be some problems, but it's the right way to go, and that's why I want to speak in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay, we have Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll also speak in favor of it as well. And I'll just bring it back to the point that I made on the last issue in terms of the farmers market. I think we have to look at this as a universal program, nationwide or provincial-wide, or however you want to look at it, as we have to look at it as a cost-benefit analysis as well, on this as well. The costs that are going to go into it, the benefits that are going to come from healthy eating, and I hear it every day, and I've brought it up here before, every day from my wife, who's a dietitian, is that if we eat properly, and to Mary's point, eat in moderation, then the benefits on health are far outweigh the price that is on it in terms of the cost. The healthcare costs will start to plummet. The problems that we have with healthcare right now, people that are in the hospital, a considerable amount of people in the hospital are in the hospital or taking services from our healthcare because they're not properly eating. And I hear that every day, every single day. Diabetes is through the roof. People are malnutrition. There's a lot of malnutrition. You see it in schools, particularly, regardless whether they're eating in the classroom or eating in the cafeteria. The point of the matter is they're eating, things that are full of sugar and unhealthy food. And if we can have some type of a program that children are educated and learn how to eat properly, the benefits that are going to our society, and Dave talked about it as a societal issue, will far outweigh the costs that are going to be borne by this. So I'm strongly in favor of this initiative. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments on the motion? Go ahead, Councillor Wood.
I just see this coalition as being a sort of a stepping stone. It's a long road ahead, that's for sure. But when we had issues with smoking, one of the programs was directed at elementary, like children in school, and it promoted the non-smoking. You teach that to a child and they grow up with that attitude right to their adulthood. Reuse, recycle. That's what we do. We went into the schools, the elementary schools again, and encouraged reuse, recycle, and those kids took that message home, and we see where we are with that today. I see this the same way. I'm not saying take food away from them. I'm not saying don't let them have some of the food they do like, but teach them to eat properly, and I think that is so important, and then make it available to them. I mean, I work at a food bank, so I know the concerns, the problems we have out there, just in Pictou County alone, with what the children are getting to eat. And I know we tried the food bank to provide healthy, nutritious meals and snacks for them, but it only depends on the donations we get. So, yeah, we have to resort to a lot of canned goods, which are full of sodium, this sort of thing. But I think teaching the kids in school the food they eat, because we do offer fruits and vegetables, but a lot of time they'll refuse them. They'd sooner have a can of spaghetti than an apple or an orange, because they're not used to being encouraged to eat fruit. So I think it's really important we start somewhere, and I think this coalition working towards a healthy lifestyle, healthy eating lifestyle for children is the way to go. And I do hope our council endorses it. Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Peter Boyles.
Yeah, anything that we can help children with and whether eating and that is great, but, there's other things that if they're going to charge people to get people eating healthy, they should be looking at. Like, I was in the hospital there last week for about 9 hours, and all you can get in the vending machines, and I heard people talking about it, was junk food. There's nothing healthy in the thing, so our health departments aren't even putting the right kind of food, so they should be looking at them too.
Okay, Councillor Elliott.
It's not that I'm against the Coalition for Healthy School Food. It's, at this point in time, I don't have enough information about how it really is going to work over the period that it's going to exist. I have too many questions. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying I don't know. I don't have enough. I have too many unanswered questions.
Okay, thank you, Mary. I will make a brief comment. When I went to school at West Pictou, and that wasn't in, well, that was a few years ago, but look at the balloon. All I ever remember buying was an Arctic bar or a bag of chips. There wasn't much else. There wasn't any, nobody cooked anything or anything at that time. You basically had tables to sit at and a few snacks like that. I think there was a pop machine out in the hall. But things have changed a lot, but what's really changed, like our mother always sent us to school with a good bagged lunch, with what she wanted us to eat. And most of the kids going to school in those days had that, and there was very little separation in the children between those who had and those who didn't. Everybody was eating a bologna sandwich or whatever, and but now the schools are so much different. We've got such a separation in families. It's not just in schools, it's in our whole population, in the level of income. And so therefore we have a lot of children who don't perhaps have anything to take in to lunch in their lunch bag. And unless it's at the schools, then they're going to be at a deficit compared to the other kids because they don't have any food in their stomach. So we recognized a long time ago we have to do better at the schools, and they took out a lot of the vending machines and stuff and put in healthier food. But this is sort of taking it one step further. And I know where Mary's apprehension is. Are we going to be forcing kids to do something? We need to let them make the choices. We need to make sure those choices are still available. Not that we're going to put a whole lot of junk food back in, but we can't force everybody to eat salad. Some people aren't salad eaters, but I think recognizing the fact that there's such a discrepancy between income levels, we have to allow the children going to school not to feel like they're being pointed out as you're the kids who don't have enough. We never want that to happen. And so we must have a program that's equal or open to all students, so nobody feels like they're being pointed out here. That's the last thing we want. But I don't have a problem with us, endorsing what the Corbin lady was showing us, but I think we have to make sure that we're taking the right steps as much as possible, and it's not our job to control what's happening in the schools, but we do want to, if we're endorsing it, we want to know what we're doing. But I am going to take a step of faith and vote for endorsing it. Any other comments? Hearing none, well, we have a motion on the floor, right? Yeah, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. We have do we have any motions of reconsideration? I'm not even sure what they are. No motions of reconsideration? Then our meeting is adjourned and, what did I forget? Oh, sorry, I already got that checked. See, I did that. Back to community announcements then, since I have one of my own, I better go back. Anybody have any community announcements tonight? Councillor Dewar.
Thank you very much, Warden. This announcement was made at several meetings, but now I'd like to congratulate the people that made the 25th anniversary of the Lismore Wintertime Review. It was such a success, right? And I think there should be a letter of congratulations come from the county, and we can save a stamp and give it to the councillor that worked so hard to make that work. The hall was full for the 3 times. They're sold out. You had a beautiful meal. You had music that you would pay a lot more money to hear. And the entertainment, well, I guess the entertainment was pretty well worth what you had to pay to get in without the meal. The meal was a bonus.
Bonus.
The poor old fella, he's not just well yet. He's suffering there yet. But anyway, it's worthwhile to see the 2 fellas that were imitating Huey and Alan the other night, and I guess Alan's right there, or maybe Huey, I can't remember who the big fella was and the little fella, but anyway, it was a terrific night, and it has been since 25 years, okay? They lost a couple of years because of the disease, but anybody that was there, they had lots to talk about, okay? So it'd be all right for council to, for Sue Ann to send a letter of congratulations, celebrating their 25 years and such a success?
Agreed?
Agreed. Thank you.
Randy.
Councillor Palmer?
Thank you, Warden. Just for councilors that weren't there today, but it was a great day today at the Department of Public Works in McClellan's Brook Plowshed. There's a number of announcements. Town of Glasgow had an announcement, Town of Stoughton, Town of Trenton, but there's an announcement there for District 10, which is my district, and it was the federal and provincial governments and the municipality here are supporting the water project for McClellan's Brook, Colburn, and parts of Greenwood. So I'd like to thank, on behalf of District 10 residents in those areas, in those communities, Premier Tim Houston and the provincial Conservatives government, MP Sean Fraser and the federal Liberals, the County of Pictou and this council for recognizing the importance of water in that area. That area is mainly made up of old coal mines and things like that. Real poor quality water. This is going to be such great news to the residents that they'll finally have great or good drinking water and things like that. I also like to thank the town of Glasgow for their water utility, for investing so much money into it and making it available for this county to purchase water from, because without them, we wouldn't be here today with this announcement. So I'd like to thank this council for recognizing the importance, and I know the residents are going to be really happy to hear this. So thank you.
Okay, any more committee announcements? Councillor Dave Parker?
I got all excited there for a moment. I thought maybe the Department of Public Works was going to get enough plows so they'd be able to come out to the Middle River Valley in a timely manner. Unfortunately, not yet. No, this is, I don't know if it's a committee announcement, but I want it on the public record. Very recently, Rob Douglas passed away. I believe Rob lived in the town of Glasgow. I knew Rob, R.A. Douglas Construction Limited in Alma, started by his grandfather with the same initials, same name. They were, I think the right word would be expropriated, and I believe that land is an original land grant for the Douglas family way back in 1767 or whenever. So they were reluctant to let go of it, but they were expropriated to put the new high school there. He continued to own a piece of land directly across the road, which I immediately recognized when I got a chance to walk through. It was only 3 or 4 acres. A very, very unique old-growth forest that he had paid to have cleaned up, the blowdowns, about 12 or 15 years before that. And the only thing I asked of him was permission to take a class of science students in there 2 times a year, under supervision, obviously, and he was gracious enough to grant it. It was special to him. It was special to me. It was not special at all to Miss Fiona. She blew it all down. So it's lost. It's lost as a place where we could take kids to help see them the true nature of the Acadian forest. But Rob Douglas was good enough to share that gift with about 500 students that I took in there over the 9 years that I was teaching science at Northumberland. So I wanted to publicly mention that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more committee announcements? Go ahead, Chester.
I think once I heard Rob Douglas' name there just mentioned, his wife Donna Cameron, formerly from Caledonia, passed away this afternoon.
Sad news indeed. A lot of people do a lot of good in this county, you know, and certainly that family has for a long while, and I know the Cameron family you speak of as well. So we express our condolences for sure on behalf of this council to that family, to that whole family, the Douglas and Cameron families. Certainly a lot of loss all at once, and a big loss. Thank you for that, giving us that news, even though it's sad news. Thank you for letting us know. And so I have a couple words to say if there's no more community announcements. I want to echo Councillor Palmer's words. I was there on behalf of our council today, and I made a comment, little tongue-in-cheek, but the fact that we were in a hall, not a hall, but we were in the garage for the depot in McClellan's Brook, where the plows are and everything, and so I was referring to it's like a road, some of our roads are terrible. They're full of potholes. And finally, our turn comes on the list, and we get a road paved, and all of a sudden, you just go from one end to the other. You get this super smooth road, and with water, it's the same way. You put up with terrible water for a long time. A lot of them buying water at the store or hauling water from a spring or whatever. It's just not fit water to drink or do anything else with in there. Then suddenly, the announcement comes that you're going to get water, and it's good water from Forbes Lake and, from the county. It goes through to Glasgow and then comes back to the county, but it's the same for the people in McClellan's Brook and Greenwood and Colburn. They're suddenly, when this comes to fruition, hopefully sooner rather than later, they're going to be on the opposite side, the same with the street. You're going to have really good water instead of what you've been putting up with for so long. And the one thing in District 6, I did mention it before, but I want to mention it again because it's open to anybody in the county that wants to attend. And it's Sergeant, I think he is now, Andrew Joyce anyway, who will be retiring soon from the RCMP a week from tonight, Monday the 11th. And it's not just for seniors, but particularly for seniors. And he'll be speaking about all the scams and whether it's phone scams or mail scams or whatever, computer scams, trying to get money out of people who worked really hard for that money. And we know cases in our own community where people have I know people that have been bankrupted by the loss of money to a scammer, and they thought they were doing the right thing. So Corporal or Sergeant, I think it is, Joyce will, starting at 7 o'clock in the Durham Church Hall, right beside the big church in Durham, we'll be giving a presentation on, how to be more aware anyway. Nobody can totally protect you, but how to be more aware of these scams and how to hopefully not be taken in by them. So if anybody in the county anywhere is interested in coming, we have a lot of chairs. So please advise people to come out if they're interested in this and hopefully prevent them from losing the family fortune. If there's no more community announcements, go ahead, Peter. Monday the 11th, 7 o'clock, 1 week from tonight. If there's no more community announcements and we have no motions of reconsideration that I'm aware of, then I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming and safe drive home.